ערב טוב, ברשותכם אנאם הערב באנגלית. Thank you, Dalia, Rabin, members of the Rabin family, and all the staff of the Rabin Center for hosting this celebration of peace. Minister of Defense Yalon, Ambassador Obedat, my friend Walid, your lovely wife, Your Honor, the man who had his pen on the treaty, Justice Rubinstein, honored guests, good evening. At a time of dynamic and dangerous change in the region, it's important to take this moment to reflect on the historic peace treaty between the State of Israel and the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan that was concluded 20 years ago today. A treaty that remains a pillar of security and stability in the Middle East. Although officially only a witness to this treaty, the United States has had a large and often unseen hand in facilitating this peace. As with the peace treaty between Israel and Egypt, the United States is constantly striving to identify new opportunities to nurture and strengthen this peace. This has remained a top priority for President Obama and his administration, building on the legacies and vision of the leaders we honor here tonight, His Majesty King Hussein and Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, both of blessed memory. These two leaders were giants of the 20th century. Leaders who dreamed of a better future for their people, for the people of the Middle East as a whole, and who took courageous decisions to realize that dream. As with the Israel-Egypt peace treaty, another pillar of America's enduring commitment to Israel and to peace and stability in the Middle East, it was leadership that was the decisive factor. Now, at the risk of conjuring up some unpleasant thoughts, and in no way minimizing the challenges we faced, just for a moment, close your eyes and try to imagine what the Middle East would look like today without the Israel-Jordan peace treaty. That gives some idea of the enormity of the gift that the leaders who forged this agreement gave us. 3 months before the signing of the peace treaty, on July 25, 1994, King Hussein and Prime Minister Rabin met in Washington at the invitation of President Clinton and signed the Washington Declaration, which ended the state of belligerency that had existed for 46 years. In an extraordinary joint session of the U.S. Congress that we saw a few moments of on the video, they also addressed the American people, and their words were so inspiring. The images of that day are so deeply seared in our minds, and for so many Americans, particularly of my generation, these leaders left an indelible imprint. Next week, we'll mark the yahrzeit of Prime Minister Rabin on the anniversary of his horrific murder. That is an important and necessary occasion, but I prefer to celebrate his life and achievements, as this great center does, and none are more important than the peace between Israel and Jordan. King Hussein, who made the pursuit of peace the great cause of his later years until his final days, remained a partner in trying to facilitate and broaden that peace, bravely pulling his cancer-ridden body from his sickbed to join the Israeli-Palestinian talks at Y Plantation and spur them to completion. The untimely deaths of King Hussein and Prime Minister Rabin were some of the saddest losses that President Clinton experienced during his presidency. I worked at the Clinton White House and can tell you as a personal witness how the legacies of these courageous leaders loomed large over his presidency, right up until the very last day. Of course, peace between Israel and Jordan seemed out of reach for half a century. For a certain generation of Israelis, Arik Lavi's Hasela Ha'adom was a stark reminder of dreams deferred by war, enmity, and seemingly impenetrable borders. Not a few Israelis gave their lives for a glimpse of the wonders of Petra that lay just across what is now a peaceful frontier. And then, on that blindingly bright day in the desert, 20 years ago today, President Clinton was able to declare that, quote, peace between Jordan and Israel is no longer a mirage. Speaking that same day before the Jordanian parliament, President Clinton praised His Majesty, saying the king had sent a signal to the entire Arab world that peace is unstoppable. Those are words that deserve repeating today. But amid our nostalgia, none of us are naive. Even on that very first day, the forces of obstructionism, of extremism, of rejectionism were on display. The celebration in the desert was contrasted with protests and terror. Normalization, then, as today, faced tremendous challenges. There have been moments that have pushed this peace to the very edge, as with the tragic murder of 7 young Israeli schoolgirls at Naharaim. The pain of such a loss is unfathomable. Yet in the midst of this personal and national tragedy, King Hussein came to this country, he knelt down, he held the hands of the grieving parents and a heartbroken nation, and he reached across a chasm that had seemed unbridgeable. Both King Hussein and Prime Minister Rabin, in the twilight of their lives, lit a torch for peace that still shines brightly. Now, for those who knew them well, and I know there are many people here who did, you know there was something else they liked to light together as well. And in fact, those iconic images of the two leaders lighting each other's cigarettes like old friends may be even more cherished than the formal portraits from the White House lawn or Wadi Arba. Those are images of friendship, of partnership, and above all, of trust. Simply put, these leaders trusted one another. That basic element of trust was the critical factor that allowed them to take such bold decisions. It was trust built up over time, including through quiet diplomacy conducted years earlier, and it made it possible for these breakthroughs to happen, and it was that same trust that led King Hussein to eulogize Prime Minister Rabin at his funeral as my brother. Whenever leaders are ready to overcome obstacles and resolve historic conflicts, that is the trust they must summon. Let me just briefly mention some of the dividends that this historic treaty continues to pay for all of us, thanks to the commitment that the Israeli and Jordanian governments down to this day have maintained to that peace and to strengthening their relationship. In the area of security, the United States, Israel, and Jordan share the mutual goals of a comprehensive, just, and lasting peace in the Middle East and an end to violent extremism that threatens the security of our 3 countries and of the region and the entire world. The stability provided by the Israel-Jordanian peace treaty enables the United States to work closely with our regional partners to address all of the challenges and threats emerging from the violence and instability in neighboring Syria, including the ongoing civil war, the rise of ISIL and other terror groups, and the flow of refugees, which has strained Jordan's economy and society. Jordan is also integrally involved in and has high stakes in the attempts to achieve a 2-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Thinking of Jordan's unique relationships with all sides and its impressive security capabilities, Secretary Kerry has said that, quote, whatever resolution there is with respect to the issue of peace between Israel and the Palestinians, Jordan will be a partner in that process. Neither Israel nor the Palestinians would have it any other way. Let me also take this opportunity to make reference to the recent and ongoing events in Jerusalem. On the occasion of this anniversary, we are reminded of the importance of maintaining the status quo at the city's holy sites, where, according to the treaty, Jordan retains a special role. We are further reminded of the importance of all sides taking whatever measures they can to preserve peace and to avoid actions that increase tension in a city as cherished as Jerusalem. In the area of energy, the discoveries of major natural gas deposits off the coast of Israel hold the promise, if managed wisely, of providing Israel with energy independence and greater security and furthering regional development, especially between Israel and Jordan. These gas fields create tremendous opportunities for regional cooperation. Partnerships in energy could bind countries in the region together in new and meaningful ways. An American company, Noble Energy, is leading the way in developing Israel's natural gas resources, and Noble and its partners have signed agreements to sell gas to the Arab Potash Company in Jordan and a Palestinian Authority power plant that will be constructed in Jenin. And recently, they signed non-binding letters of intent to sell gas to Jordan's state-owned National Electric Power Company, as well as liquefied natural gas to facilities in Egypt. None of this would have been possible without our shared investment in this peace treaty. The drafters of the Israel-Jordan peace treaty understood that ensuring affordable access to water resources could contribute greatly to political stability, and that work continues to this day. In December of 2013, Israel and Jordan, along with the Palestinian Authority, signed a historic agreement known as the Red Dead Agreement, which sets up a mechanism for Israel to buy desalinated water from Aqaba in the south and sell additional quantities of water to Jordan in the north, and could pave the way for a Red Dead pipeline to provide a potential path to stabilizing the Dead Sea. An equally ambitious project of global significance is the shared effort by Israel and Jordan to help rehabilitate the Jordan River, on which significant progress has been made to date. Israel and Jordan are both free trade partners of the United States. We signed our first free trade agreement with Israel in 1985, and our first free trade agreement with an Arab country was with Jordan in 2000. As we look to the future of relations between Israel and Jordan, we see tremendous potential for bilateral trade between the two countries, and we encourage Jordanian and Israeli firms and business people to get to know each other and work together. For example, Israel and Jordan have developed the Sheikh Hussein Haifa Port Trade Corridor, and has become an important link for Jordan to the Mediterranean. We're gratified with the progress being made by Israelis and Jordanians on the Jordan Gateway cross-border infrastructure project, which would create jobs in Jordan and trade opportunities for Israel. I want to close by emphasizing again that the peace treaty between the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan and the State of Israel is a vital American interest and a durable keystone of security and stability in the Middle East. This treaty stands as a model of how courageous, visionary leaders committed to peace and to pursuing the interests of their people, can create a better future. The United States stands shoulder to shoulder with the sons and daughters of peace. My country has made a sacred commitment to peace between Israel and Jordan, a commitment affirmed by 3 presidents, supported by the United States Congress, and cherished by the American people. Thank you for coming together to celebrate this great achievement tonight.